Hi, welcome everyone to the Plein Air Easton Podcast, coming to you live from the Plein Air Easton
Live
from the Plein Air Easton headquarters at 40 South Harrison Street in Easton, Maryland, for the 20th Plein Air Painting Festival and Competition.
Absolutely. So this is what I was going to tell you, Tim. Last night we were on Tillman Island. We had it ended our Tillman Island Paint Out Day, and I talked to some people who had watched both of our podcasts live on Facebook.
Oh, that's really cool.
So while the studio audience here is perhaps not as engaged,
we're luring them in.
We could have a lot of engaged people online. So just don't forget about them.
Send in your questions if you have them. That's. I'm glad to.
Yeah.
People. Yeah. Let's face it. I mean, I haven't since the pandemic. Facebook Live really got popular in the pandemic, and then you sort of think that isn't really working, but that's great to know. You know.
No, I think that there are people out there watching and getting excited about the 20th year of Plein Air Easton.
Well, if you're close, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, D.C. area, and you're watching this, Tillman, Princess Anne, come on up for down there, Princess Anne. We are going to be open through Sunday, celebrating the festival through July 21st, and there is a ton of stuff that is. We've done a lot of stuff, but there's even the real where it gets kind of like action going on every second is really coming up.
No, I think you can tell that the excitement is building. Like maybe you can hear the excitement in the room. There's a lot of really fantastic artwork that's already been delivered here at the Armory, which will be open tomorrow, closed on Thursday, and then open again on Friday.
I looked at it for the first time. I kind of glanced over the last couple of days, and then really looked at it today. And it's fun. You can see the new paintings coming in.
Absolutely.
When you come back, and there's a happy hour here tonight, so yes, it's kicking off. It's
a paint in
happy hour.
A paint in happy hour. It's a pun, I think, on painting out. You're going to paint in, because Lord knows it's too hot for painting outside.
Yeah, and these guys have been doing it for. I guess it's going to cool off, though, right? It's supposed to cool off.
I'm no weatherman.
I mean, 84, 85 degrees, but it has been extremely hot, and that's why you can come into the headquarters here at Plein Air Easton and through Sunday.
So we are here with an alumni from Plein Air Easton. It is part of our alumni series that we created, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. A series of alumni. We created this several years ago in part to ease the stress on some of our competition painters so that we could make content with people who, what? You want to just jump in and say something right away?
Well, no.
We're going to introduce you.
You keep going.
We wanted to ease some stress by bringing in some alumni so that we had educational content. We didn't have to take anybody's time who was actually actively producing as part of the festival, and bring in some of our favorites to be able to teach and talk.
It's been great.
So we've got one right here, and he's so eager to say something. I don't even know what it is. Mark Shasha,
ladies and gentlemen,
welcome.
Mark Shasha.
Applause.
Thank you very much.
Applause.
Oh,
gosh. Listen to all
Thank
the
you
applause.
very much.
It's quieter than a golf clap.
Well, I like the idea that I'm a relief pitcher and somehow coming in to help people out. I didn't realize that I was going to serve that wonderful function.
We don't teach you that when we recruit you
That's
as an
okay.
alumni.
I'm glad to be useful in some way.
Well, it just, for years we had people who wanted to come and find the artist's painting.
Yeah.
We even used to
really
have this map
do.
with push pins on it. But at the end of the day, when a lot of our competition painters are working on what they hope is the grand prize winning painting, they actually don't want everybody talking to them the whole time.
I remember what that's like. Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, it's a mixed thing because I think there are some painters who love talking to the community and others who are more introverted. I'm one of the more gregarious ones usually, but I also do have the Richard Lewis scared I can't do it kind of I'm a failure. I can't make paintings. I don't know how.
Poor self-talk.
Well, I don't do that to myself unless I'm, really not feeling good about my paintings. But I usually do feel pretty good about them.
Good.
I'm just saying, to answer the question, it is not a low-stress experience.
No.
On the one hand, you want to be available for people because that's important. That's
part of the sales process.
Well, not only that, but you're educating people about painting, and we actually care about paint. We care about paintings.
That's what you're passionate about.
I'm passionate about that. I want people to walk away feeling good, like, oh, there's a painter, and learn something about painting, because I want to sort of, I'm like a booster of painting, right? But on the other hand, don't look at it till it's finished. there's also that, hide it
you're really
from
putting yourself out there.
Yeah, it's a little scary because you.
What's the worst experience? Is it like somebody ever tried to thought they knew more about painting than you when you were painting it?
Oh, I never worry about that. I mean.
Well, they try to outpaint
no, they
you.
don't. They probably do know more about painting than me, and that's fine. I try to learn from them, but I'm not afraid of them. One of the things I find that every single paint out that I go on is terrifying. I have real terror moments in them.
Real terror moments.
Yeah, I'm just scared of what have I done? What am I doing to myself? This is not going to work out. So I'll share this because it has a happy ending and it's relevant to this whole thing. When I came to Plein Air Easton in 2018, I think it was, that was the year I came here and I was nervous. It was my first time here. And I looked around at these wonderful painters who would go out and just find a pile of junk or a truck, and they'd make a really good painting out of it. I don't paint trucks. I don't paint piles of junk typically, but I thought, you know what? See, that's what I need to do. I need to learn how to paint junk and make it nice and make it nice, beautiful. And I went out and I went to St. Michael's and I went to the shipyard there and I went looking for junk. I was like, okay, I'm gonna find it. Like, it'll be all about the angles. It'll be all about the shadows. It'll be, I was thinking Patrick Lee and boy, they're so brilliant. I can do that. I gotta find a way. Because see, that's what I mean. It's like this insecurity of, I don't know if I can really paint what I really usually paint. So I went there and I walked around in that. It was 105 degrees and I was really genuinely panicking because I didn't see anything that I could paint. All this shipyard crap. I didn't know, there's guys walking around with tools and it's just not me. And I just walked to the end of that dock there and I was feeling despair. And then I looked out across that flat horizon. I'm like, I can't paint that. And I turned around and there was a skipjack and the lighthouse and the bell tower and the sparkly water right under it. And if you're just listening, you can't see, I get this little tremor in my hands when I get really excited. I think, oh my God, if I could paint that. And that's what I painted. It took an hour to paint it. And it was a 14 by 18. I'll never forget that experience. It was like it painted itself. And I won the Artist's Choice for that. And I fell in love with Easton after that. But it started with terror.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going to go with that, but you got me.
No, I'm talking about
real terror.
Absolute terror. I didn't know what I was doing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I just love pulling out the clear piece of advice from some of these podcasts, and some of it is you don't always have to paint what you know, but you should paint as who you are. You should not be trying to paint like someone else. You should be, you can push your boundaries.
Right.
But especially in a competition space, maybe stick to what you know.
I'm laughing because every one of these paint outs, I tell myself that.
And then it's
every
really
time,
hard.
It's all really hard. And then I realize I'm not afraid of, this doesn't sound funny. I'm not afraid of going to the terror place. I just I let myself be scared. I look at the other artists. I convince myself I can't do what they're doing. And I terrorize myself. And then I come out of it and some energy, through that exhilaration and, you're confronting yourself. I come up with a good painting. It works for me.
Well, and then right, that's great. I think it's wonderful.
I hate it though.
But so you actually when you see something, you're like, oh, I can get that. You get nervous as to whether you can actually get it down on the
Well,
paint.
I think my fear is, and maybe some other artists can relate to this, I am very confident about painting beaches. I know how to paint beaches. When I go somewhere and I see a beach, a little bell goes off in my head and says, okay, one of my paintings is going to, that's my safe space. But there's a catch to that, which is you don't want to ever be in a rut. Just because you know how to paint a thing and you always go back to it, you can't let that be too safe a space. If you really want to be a serious painter, you've got to, you've got your little place you're going to park yourself sometimes. But you've got to look for that thing that's a challenge all the time.
Well, that's what I thought when you said you turned and you saw the lighthouse.
Right.
And the horizon
right.
and the steeple on the other side and the skipjack, and and the skipjack was carrying a pile of junk, is what I thought you were going to say.
And you're like, finally, the junk.
I got it.
No, Mark, something that we have talked about a lot over the last 2 years as part of our artist orientation has really been about mental health.
Oh.
And, here's part of it is, for years we sat and we were like, the heat, be careful of the heat, be careful of the heat. And then we were like, and be careful of the ticks and the Lyme disease and the ticks and watch out for the ticks and hydrate in the heat. And then we sort of stopped and said, we never recognized the stress. And so we've been really doing a lot to recognize the stress. We have some sponsor partners from For All Seasons who come and talk to the artists at orientation to really talk about. This is we try to make Plein Air Easton as fun as possible, but we also have to acknowledge that it's scary. And there was the speaker who came this year talked about how some people have positive reactions to stress. So when you were talking, I was like, that terror that you're feeling is in some ways maybe part of the adrenaline that you need to go and produce.
There are probably 1,000 quotes about go to the terror place to find yourself, or I'm sure that's some Buddhist thing, but but it's like I remember, and maybe this is because I do a lot of showbiz.
Right,
I do a lot of acting.
So that was exactly where I was going to go. So I don't know if you guys know, but Mark Shasha is also an actor. He's played some really iconic characters. And I guess, do you find yourself in the terror space before you go on stage? Like when you are in To Kill a Mockingbird and you're about ready to tell me, how does it feel similar? Are the sensations the same?
Well, the fear is primarily, for me, I don't want to let down the audience. That audience is here. They are sitting in a chair. They are waiting for something magic to happen. And if I go out there and I flub a line, if I forget a line, or if I throw off one of the other actors, I will not sleep that night. I will not sleep the next night. And I am terrified that I'm going to do that. So I do everything I can, knowing how scared I'll be if I don't hit it right.
The title of this podcast is Art from Terror.
But the irony is when you get it, you see, when it all flows, it's the most exhilarating, exciting thing. You feel like you worked hard at it. You paid that price. You did that work. And then the magic happens. When I went out and I played Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, there's the scene where I defend Tom Robinson, who's the black character who is wrongly accused of a crime. And I'm his lawyer. And I'm out there defending him. And I've got a whole audience of people, and I know that at the end of my monologue, if I look out into that audience and I don't see tears, I'm going to be mortified. I want them to be moved and completely to their soul. And if they're not,
that's not a high bar, is that? So moved completely to their soul.
Well, I gotta get them, or it's not. Or the whole thing is a waste of time.
Okay, so I've studied acting for a long time myself, about 30 years as well. So when you're taking a script, you have to it's explication is really what you're doing with it. You're really, but you have other characters that you're reacting, your lines are coming off of as well.
Right.
And you have to break down that script and find out exactly what you're really, really, really saying in that moment, and you got to do it for 2 hours, and it's got to go back and forth and back and forth. Does that happen in painting at all, in terms of breaking down the scene? What do you really...
Well, it does happen in painting because there's that sweet spot that's very similar than when you're on a stage and the magic happens. There's a magic moment on the stage when you look out and you see the tears and you see the reaction to your acting.
Sure.
That reaction is what I want from someone who looks at my painting. I want someone to look at my painting and not walk past it. I mean, that's the mortification. Like you put a painting on the wall, and it's like people walking by it, and nobody stops to look at it. And that, we try to pretend that it doesn't hurt us, but oh my God, it's crushing. You put all that work in. You want that. You want that. So to answer your question, yes, there's that moment when you get that painting, and it's, oh my God, it all came together. And you know that when other people see it, they're going to have to stop. They're going to stop, and they're going to look at it.
That's the performance then, yeah.
Absolutely.
In the breaking down of getting to the painting.
Yes.
Like I see a bunch of triangles and squares and circles, and I'm going to make these shapes and make this painting,
right,
like you're doing with the text over on this
right,
side of the acting side.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I was going. Where were you from, Mark?
I was raised in New London, Connecticut, but I was born in Boston. So I was born in Boston, lived in New London, Connecticut for about 15 years with my family. Then I went off to college, and then back to Boston.
Was your family artistic?
My mother was a brilliant poet and writer, and brilliant at design, beautiful, wonderful homemaker, and she had enormous emotional intelligence. My dad was a lawyer, so my mother was a bit of a painter.
That wasn't a punchline.
So did I answer the? Well.
Did you feel like you had a lot of art in your home?
Yes, my mother filled our house with art books, painting. The women in my life, my mother, my aunts, my grandmothers, were all very supportive of my art and took me to art festivals and took me to plays.
So you were painting and drawing from a young age and doing theater. Like you were an art kid.
I was always an art kid. I failed at almost everything other than art. I couldn't do anything else. I was joking before, but it's not a joke, really. It sounds like a joke, but I don't know what it's like to quit a job because I was fired from the ones I had. I don't know what it's like to say I quit. I know how it feels to want to quit, but I was fired. I had four. The last time I got a paycheck was 1988.
That's great.
And I got the paycheck when I was fired. He just said, "Here, take it, and don't come back."
So,
what were you doing?
I had a sales job. The thing is, I was a very empathetic salesman. So I had absolutely no fear. I would call anybody. I'd call the CEO of a company, and I could tell you a lot of great little stories about how much courage I had. I would call anyone. But cold calling, no problem, no big deal. I'll call the CEO of a company in 2 minutes, no problem. And I'll chat with him on the phone. But when it came time to close the deal, I was the guy that he'd say, "Well, I don't know if I really want to hire that guy." That's when I was.
And you'd be like, "Okay,
like, you know
see
what?
You
That
later,
makes a lot of sense." So I'm not a salesman. If you don't want to buy it, I'm the wrong guy to sell it to you.
Got it. So did your formal education include art then as well? So you said you went to college.
I went to the Rhode Island School of Design.
Awesome.
And I studied illustration. I wanted to be a filmmaker because I love storytelling. I like writing stories. I like narrative art. I loved the illustrators were my favorite. I always glommed on more to like Norman Rockwell or Maxfield Parrish more than Monet.
Okay.
The serious painters, so-called, were more like curiosities to me. To me, nothing was more magic than a great illustrator who was telling a good story.
So you went there when you graduated. What did you think you were going to do?
Well, most of the students at the Rhode Island School of Design were involved in multiple arts. So there were some that were writers and painters, but they were also singers or dancers. They were doing other things. So I just assumed when I graduated, I would take all that with me. I was in plays in college, and I wrote books in college and stories, and as well as doing my illustration. So when I graduated from college, I moved to Boston to be an illustrator, and I did illustration for the Boston Phoenix, the Globe, and spot work for New York Times and magazines and stuff. But I also was singing songs and writing songs and playing my guitar out. I had buddies at the Berklee College of Music.
Sure.
I had friends like Jonathan Davis. He was such a good buddy. We were broke as broke could be. I mean, I had I smoked cigarettes so I wouldn't be hungry. And it killed my appetite, and I would drink coffee at the Rudy's across the street, and people like Amy Mann would come by, and singers like the Jay Giles Band, and there was a guy named Charles Pettigrew who was a good friend of mine. He was a black guy who was a great singer at Berkeley, and he did a song called You Would Know Who He Was. His song was, Would I Lie to You, Baby? Would I lie to you? And so he and Johnny Most got... Anyway, I had a little cluster of good friends. We were broke, and on Sundays we would go to the dive bar and get dime dogs. For a dime, you could buy a hot dog, and you could put anything on it. They had sauerkraut and chili, and
so you could really make a meal out of it.
Oh my God! I had 5. It's like 50 cents. Take it. And then it was good for 2 days.
Fantastic.
Oh, starving
You were making movies at that. You were working on film at that time?
I was doing acting in mostly like commercials. I was the Macy's guy. I was one of the Macy's guys, and I did any spot work I could find.
So you lived in the city life and doing the whole thing.
Lived on what was the poor end of Newbury Street in those days.
Yeah. Okay.
There's not a poor end of Newbury Street now, but there was once.
Right.
You know, with like the record stores and the music and the bookstores, and Victor Hugo bookstore was there, and a lot of memories. I didn't hate being broke. I remember laughing a lot, and my girlfriends were all artists. It was an art life and a lot of music, great music. Boston was a great music scene.
Yeah.
Talk about
about
painting, and then how like painting took hold as part of your sort of story arc.
Well, when I became established as an illustrator, I very quickly wanted to publish books. So I was doing a little acting, writing songs, and I was writing a lot. And I wanted to do a children's picture book. One of my teachers at college had already done a couple. His name was Chris Van Allsburg.
Oh, gosh.
And
of course.
the Polar Express and Jumanji and some other things. So I just assumed I would do that.
Right.
Doesn't everybody?
That's just what you can
go
do.
So I eventually got my first book published when I was about 30 years old with Simon & Schuster, Night of the Moonjellies, and it's still on bestseller lists sometimes.
That's great.
But I went from that to I had a good 5 or 6 years in the publishing world.
When you made that book, are those painted pictures?
Yeah, they were pastels. Being a illustrator, I was into the tactile.
Because this isn't computer.
Oh, long
none
before
of it.
This was the 90s. They didn't have computers.
Yeah, right.
Computers were like not at all. So I transitioned out of illustration. I had kids, and I was a stay-at-home dad, so I couldn't write my books anymore. I'd published a few with Simon & Schuster, and then I ended up writing songs and painting, doing a lot of painting. So I'm writing songs, I'm playing my songs out, and then I'm painting, and I'm still doing a little acting. And I think the thing that changed me was I went to a gallery on Cape Cod called Trees Place. This was back in 1999, and I was blown away that people my age were painting and making a living at making beautiful paintings. And I thought, this is what I want to do.
It was a light bulb moment.
Light bulb moment.
Did your hand get tremoury like you were saying?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like, oh God, oh my God. I remember the manager, the owner of the place was a guy named Julian Barnes. And Julian came up to me and he asked me, he was pointing at a painting, I think it was Don Demers. And he said, you know, we just had a show of Don Demers' work, and this is the only one left. And I looked at the price tag and I thought, he said he had a room full of these? And I thought, Don's doing pretty good.
He thought, this is a good gig.
I just thought, I mean, I grew up on to me this was not a foreign concept, painting beaches and boats and all, because I grew up with that.
Right.
So, and I love that. And this was a wonderful opportunity, so I just thought, well, that's it. And I was in a gallery 2 or 3 months after that, and I've been a full-time oil painter for 30 years, almost because of that.
Just awesome.
That's a wonderful story. 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been acting alongside that. I've been in like probably 30 shows in 30 years. So I do at least one show every year. I did The Great Gatsby last year. I was just invited to do a show this year, but I don't have time. I'm going to be traveling and painting too much.
Good. And how did going back to the ladies in your life, your mom and
Yep.
How did that, when you're up in New York City or doing the city scene?
Yep.
What from your past grounded you in the new sort of environment?
While I was broke, the thing is that the thing that grounded me all along, and it still does, is my incredible, unending passion to do this. I don't go more than a day or two, and then I have to sketch something. I have to draw something. I see something beautiful and I have to paint it. I've tried to play golf, for example. I can't do it because my mind goes to that sky and I want to, what is that, a cerulean blue? Or, and I just get so distracted. I can't pay attention to a sporting event. I go to a baseball game. I can't watch it. I don't want to watch sports. I don't care. I can't care. I just want to go paint.
You got to like the Red Sox.
What? Is that, is that hockey? I don't know what. Well, Boston is a sports town, and I am obligated to know what the Celtics are doing, and I nod and yes, that's right.
But you want to paint it?
I can't. I just want to leave and paint. I can't watch a ball bounce around. Come on. There's too much to paint, too little time. I'm running out of time all the time. And the other thing is, I love to write poetry. I love to sing. I have my guitar. I just took up the drums last year, and it's taking me forever to learn the drums. But passions all around.
I'm going to throw this to you at the end. If you can create a little jingle for Plein Air Easton, just think as we're getting ready to go out of here. We've been talking with Mark Shasha, a series of alumni, artists.
Live from the 20th Plein Air Easton.
Live. I missed it again. In the Plein Air Easton headquarters, 40 South Harrison Street in the Waterfowl Building in Easton, Maryland. We will be, I think we're closing Thursday here. Every day we open at 10 through Sunday. We're in here, the new Eastern Shore Land Conservancy exhibit, which I think Mark is a part of, correct?
Yes.
We'll talk about that painting in the next segment.
Okay.
And that will be opening tomorrow night, Wednesday, and run through Saturday as well. Local Color starts up. Again, if you're in the listening area, I really think, I said in the first episode, if there's a better place to be for art in the United States, I don't want to argue with you. I just want to hear about it. And this week, I just want to know. Just let me know.
How does it get better than this?
Well, the atmosphere is wonderful. I mean, it really is just a very unique, and unique is not the correct word. It's just, there's a spirituality to this festival that you don't. I've been to other festivals. I've been to multicultural festivals. I've been to rock and roll festivals. I've been to cherry blossom festivals. This is something that if you haven't really experienced on a full level like this, you should come.
Plein Air Easton, come on down.
I'm going to say it. It's the 20th. I won't say it in the 21st year, but I'm saying it in the 20th.
You should come to the 21st year too.
You're welcome. We'll invite you. We'll be right
back.
Thanks. Okay. Plein Air Easton Podcast.
Okay.
Hi, welcome back, everyone, to the Plein Air Easton Podcast. Part of
the live Plein Air Easton Podcast.
You get me every time.
I get you
I've only
every
got
time.
it one time, right? It was my mistake. I never say live in this, and I miss it every time.
But if somebody's listening to it, like we do a lot of studio podcasts, this is a live one. It has all the energy of a live event.
And if you're watching this past 4 o'clock today, it will be live on tape.
Exactly.
Plein Air Easton Podcast.
Totally.
The headquarters of Plein Air Easton Competition and Outdoor Painting Competition and Festival, running through July 21st.
So we're here with Mark Shasha, and we've really been working you hard. So yesterday he did a demo on Tillman Island. Were any of you at the demo? You guys were at the demo.
Oh, we got questions.
Did you like the demo? Loved it. I heard the demo went on for 17 hours. Is that true?
Yes.
It was the longest demo
it's still going on. I'm just not there.
It was the longest demo in the history of
they're following you around, waiting for the end of the demo.
I know. They just want the painting to be over.
The demo that would never end.
For days. No, this was the word on the street about his demo yesterday in Tillman, and you guys can shake your head yes or no. I heard it was so good, and people were so captivated. It was packed and sold out, and everyone was so into it. That's partly why it kept on kind of going. Is that everyone was part of this collective educational experience. People left feeling really inspired. There was a lot of chatter last night on the island about the demo. Do you concur?
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad.
And so the focus of yesterday's demo was how to paint what?
Well, yesterday I focused on painting a beach scene because it includes light source and texture and consistent, getting the light source consistent across the scene. So that's one of the things I love to talk about as a painter.
And now you guys know how to do that completely.
They got all the notes.
And she knows how to try.
You're an artist.
She knows how to try.
You're an artist.
I like it.
Right.
Congratulations. Very nice.
No, so he did a demo. He did a demo live on this stage earlier today where your focus was water.
Yes.
And so that was pretty exciting, and I know that you can watch that live to tape on Facebook as well. But we had a great crowd here for that.
Sounds like it. Mark, can you talk about the concept of getting light evenly across the page? You said
yes, that's a big thing for me. I really think that there are, people ask, what is something that I could do to make my paintings instantly 50% better,
sure.
or at least 50% better. And my answer is, you can make your paintings 80% better than almost all the other paintings that you run into, if you do this one thing, because so few artists do it.
What is that?
Consistent light source across the whole painting. So, for example, if the sun is shining, you'll see it if you start looking for it. You'll see it in paintings.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you see all paintings have some kind of a light source. If the light source comes on a tree on the right side, somewhere in your painting, but over here, the sun is coming from the left on a rock, you've blown it. Well, I shouldn't say you've blown it. Rules are made to be broken, so that's fine. But if you have a consistent light source, at least you don't have that distraction that a viewer is having to deal with. Where is the light coming from? Because that's the number one thing that a viewer needs information about. And it's amazing. It'll improve your painting immediately if you can do that.
Okay. So we're looking at one of Mark's paintings here behind us.
Did you do it, Mark?
Yes.
The light source all from one place?
Well,
yes.
We will talk about that. I would encourage anyone who's listening online to go to Mark's webpage and take a look at his paintings there, because I got a feeling he's talking about this in all of his work. It seems his main thing. This is a dune.
Yep, these are dunes. It's a place I have painted many times on Martha's Vineyard. And this is a painting in a town called Edgartown. And it's a larger version of a plein air painting that I've particular one that I had done. You'll see light in the painting. You'll see light right on the water.
Yeah, that's the light source. That is the original light source.
Well, the light source, the actual light source would be the sun above the water. So that if you were looking at the painting and you got about 5 inches above that horizon line, you're going to see the sun up there.
Right.
And the sun is going to be consistently flooding the entire zone with a particular direction of light. So if you look at the dunes and you look in the shadows, you can actually trace back and see the tops of the grasses where they're casting shadows in the sand.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
And that's a consistent light source across the whole painting.
Right.
There is no other thing lighting it. Now, in the shadows, you will see reflected light, which is a secondary light in a painting. And I also love to talk about getting that bounced light in. The light hits the sand, and it's almost like a bleached out. It's so bright, it almost sometimes doesn't have bright color. The color gets a little dimmer because it's so bleached out. But then you get interesting colors and light a little bit in those shadows. And that's really when you make something feel present.
Say it again.
It feels present. It feels like you could touch it. It feels like it's...
when you're getting the bounce.
When you're getting that bounce light going into the shadow, it takes the flatness out of it, if you will.
Yeah.
So instead of just seeing like that cardboard cutout of the shadow, this is the shadow. You put a little light in there, just a little, and now it's not a flat thing. It begins to feel like it has a form inside the shadow too.
Right.
And so it makes it more present in that way.
Right.
He makes it sound so easy, doesn't he? He's like,
Well,
just do that, guys. Just do it. Just as long as you just do that.
Well, I haven't figured out how to do anything easily, so that's the problem.
The other thing that we asked Mark to do while he was here is it's the first time we have partnered with the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy for a really specific project, where we invited our grand prize winners, our first, second, and third place winners, and our artist choice winners from the past 20 years, any of them who were able to come and paint out on their choice of 5 preserved properties here in Talbot County. So these are properties that have been earmarked for preservation. And the Land Conservancy is working with us to have this invitational because they really believe that art is a tool for conservation. We talked about this a little bit with Lisa Egley yesterday about how, looking at art can make you value things differently when you see it through a different lens. So you did paint out on one of these properties.
Yes, I did.
And tell me about did you find a beach?
No, I didn't find a beach. I wasn't looking for one. I was looking for the terror.
Okay, you were looking.
I was looking for something.
He went to preserved properties seeking terror.
I was looking for something that would challenge me, and I didn't know what that might be. But I went away from beaches, and so I went to the wilderness.
Oh gosh, what a beautiful estate!
It is a beautiful estate, but for all that beauty, the thing that I glommed onto, I had just recently read a book by Jeff Charlotte called How the Word is Passed. I'm sorry, that wasn't Jeff Charlotte. Jeff Charlotte wrote a different book. Did he write that one? I don't. The name of the book. The name of the book is How the Word is Passed.
Nick, can you get on the name of that book, please?
It was it's about. It's basically the Black history, some part of Black history of slavery and all of that. So I really glommed onto the idea that there was a slave quarters there.
There is a slave
quarters
there.
And I went right to that, and I got very emotional there.
It's hard not to.
And I trust I've talked about this before, like I look for places that move me emotionally, either positive or negative, it doesn't matter, because the things that motivate me, I'm a true bohemian that way. I'm motivated by love, truth, beauty, and freedom. Those are my 4 sort of pillars. And those are the bohemian pillars, it turns out to be, but because everything that's truth is not beauty, and everything that's beautiful is not true. So it gives you something to think through. And so I saw this.
We could meditate on that one for a long time. I think.
That's a whole nother conversation. And that should be. But I think that seeing that slave quarters, I got emotional, and I was thinking these, damn it, people here I am standing out in this heat, and it's 95 degrees, and I can barely stand it. And these people weren't even paid to be there.
Right.
And they were going through hell. And I got very emotional, and I thought, damn it, I don't know what kind of painting it'll be, but this is what I got to paint. So I painted the slave quarters, and I titled it The Fields Remember.
Very nice.
Because there's nobody else there except that field. And I just thought about those fields and how the fields must remember that. And that steered me. This is why poetry sometimes, I'll write a little poem before I paint, because it tells me what I'm feeling. And sometimes I'll think of the title before I paint. And that tells me, what am I painting? Clint Smith, thank you. Clint Smith, How the Word is Passed. amazing book. Didn't know half that stuff.
Right.
But,
are you pleased with the painting?
I love the painting, and if it doesn't sell, I hope to take it home.
Got it. So don't take that as an invitation not to purchase this painting.
Buy it. No, buy it.
We would love for you to have it in your home if it resonates with you.
No.
Those paintings are going to be on display. We're going to have an opening ceremony for that exhibition tomorrow evening at the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy building, and it will be open free to the public Thursday, Friday, Saturday of this week to take a look at these preserved properties through some of the greatest plein air painters in the United States. So thank you for participating in that paint out.
Oh, my pleasure.
I know that it's going to be a valuable education tool for a lot of people to think about these properties and why they're earmarked for preservation. So.
Right. And it's an education to the painters, too. We learn stuff, too. So we come away with something.
Mark, I want to go back to your 4 pillars. What are those 4 pillars again?
Love, truth, beauty, and freedom.
Okay. I've been trying to ask this question in the last 3 or 4 podcasts I've done, and I can't get it out correctly, so I'm going to ask it in this way.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to your pillars, how your pillars, state of the world, art.
Yeah.
How can art help like today, now, like a single person?
Well,
art in terms of like making you feel for an hour and a half good about everything.
Art is that approach, the Bohemian way, is how I approach everything in life. So, I mean, I approach that when I read the news. I'm looking for the truth. When we talk politics, I'm looking for freedom. Freedom for everyone, we the people, democracy. It's all connected to the Enlightenment. It's not a mistake. It's a very deep topic. It means a lot. And this is connected to art because I want to paint the truth. I'm pursuing the truth. I'm pursuing the beauty. And the beauty is not always true. It sounds really hokey and corny.
You can't. That's what I'm trying to like.
There's really
there's
no separate. It's hard to separate that. When I sing a song, when I sing a song, I love this quote by Frank Sinatra. He said he was famous for doing not always. He was a famous carouser in a lot of ways, but he said, "I never lied when I sang."
Right.
I love that. He said, "I always told the truth when I sang a song. I always tell the truth when I paint. And if politics are in my mind, the politics will go into that painting." And I kind of had that in my mind when I was painting the slave quarters. I mean, it's all how like when I'm painting a beach, where's the politics in that? Well, no. Maybe that's not what's on my mind that day. Maybe what's on my mind there is climate change, or maybe it's nature, or maybe the environment, or what can we do to fully appreciate what we have, and that speaks to the beauty and the preservation of things. And everything an artist does is connected to everything else an artist should do if an artist is breathing. I mean, Maya Angelou once was asked, how do you write? How do you break into the mindset of a poet from speaking normal? Like you speak normal and then all of a sudden you speak like a poet. She says, no, honey. I speak like a poet. I think like a poet, I write like a poet, I speak like a poet. And I think that an artist has that responsibility. We have to do what we do as an artist.
Right.
There's no line between it all. It's all honest. It's all about being honest about everything.
Right.
I didn't answer your question at all.
My question is terrible.
That's the danger.
My question
I should just
is
sing songs and forget about
it.
it.
By the end of Plein Air Easton, he will have fully formed this question, and
I can't get it out. It's not right.
And when it does come out, we will have solved all the problems in the universe.
Well,
that's the bar we're going for.
No, that's not the bar we're going for. I'm talking about an hour and a half of your day.
Yeah. Like
coming down here, like after all you got to do is turn anything on, and coming down for an hour and a half, wherever the art gallery is. If it's the gentleman who was here earlier, and you went to go see the art of his student who painted with his with his mouth.
Right.
Just going out and doing that as a country. Like
Right.
we all did it for an hour and a half. We'd at least feel some relief.
Right.
Is what I think. I'm not positive.
Right. Well, I think to your point, look, when I leave here and I go driving around, I'm looking for things that catch my eye that are beautiful or true or, oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. And a moment of wonder, a moment of awe. What's that? I'm not a religious person at all. I don't have any religion. But I do believe in the beauty. And I do respond to it in my spirit, my body, in my mind. And so I stop and I think, how do I paint that? And then that's another different question, because now it's like, how do I communicate this feeling? How do I connect to others? And this is where love comes in, because I love to connect. I love to see this thing I love. I want to share it with this person I'm feeling a love for. And I can love more people than I don't love. And I want to share these things. And then I connect with them. It's all about connecting. Look at this beautiful thing I saw. I painted it this way. Do you get it? If you don't get it, maybe because I didn't paint it right. So I'm always thinking, how do I paint this right so that you connect to it the way I did when I saw this thing? It's all connected to this, you know?
I just asked the question wrong. I just keep asking the question wrong.
See,
That's a great answer.
No, they have great answers, and then you say your question is wrong. It makes people second guess their answers. I think that was a really good answer.
I think it is a good answer. I mean, I think it's beyond actually. Like it's what we've been looking. Is this the last one of these? Did we get this answered? Or we have more of these?
I don't know. Nick, you have to ask Nick. He's the producer. We don't know. We just show up. Here is a question that I always like to ask in these podcasts, and I am somebody who needs inspiration. I think of myself as a passionate person, and sometimes the well feels dry. Like when you're feeling, if you are picking up a paintbrush or a pen or have you ever been in an uninspired space? And
no.
if so, you never have?
I would say no.
Never.
Talking to him,
No, I have been bored. I have been bored.
So
on
what do you do
occasion.
when you're bored then? What's the answer when you're bored?
Well, I get out of that boring situation.
At least he hasn't gotten up.
There's a reason why
he
I don't.
He has not gotten up and left this podcast, so at least he's not bored.
No, I'm riveted to this thing. No, but I love Joni Mitchell's line. Somebody asked her, do you ever have a block?
Yeah.
And she says, no, because I paint. I have cross-pollination.
Right.
And you know what? That is a great answer, because if you sing, you can pick up your guitar and you can play a song. And I always am ready to do that. I always have, I can play a song, I can play a drum, I can play my drums, or I can write a poem. I can go down the street and go to the beach, take a long walk. I'm very interested in science, and I get very inspired by reading science. I've got Carl Sagan and Jacques Cousteau, and I am fascinated with cinematography, so I can look at a movie in multiple ways. I can study the cinematography, the composition.
He never gets uninspired. It's awesome.
There's inspiration all around, and one thing that I really get inspired by are really good questions like that one. So now.
So, but like
other people,
you don't,
I love listening to people.
But do you get to a stopping point on a painting sometime and then have to put it aside to play your guitar because you're reaching a block in the painting?
Yes.
Then it's about shifting gears.
Well,
that's not boredom. That's about.
That's me punishing myself for a bad design. Usually, I hit a wall because I did something really. I was overconfident, and I went into a big canvas, and I started it without a sketch because I thought for sure I knew how I was going to resolve it. And then the painting becomes, then I do something called hate paint. I'm hate painting. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I can't fix it. I hate this. I can't fix this, and I hate it.
That's funny.
And that's
and then
when
what do you do?
Well, I put it, if I'm smart, and I'm not always smart, I put it aside, and I go for a walk, and I try to say, well, I just have to bite the bullet. I wasted that money and that time on that canvas, and
you scrape it or you paint over it.
I scrape it or I paint over it, but usually I leave it in my studio to mock me and yell at me and tell me I'm a bad painter. I should get those damn things out of here.
You should have heard our mental health talk by 4 all seasons at the artist orientation, but because he's an alumni, he didn't get that. We'll make sure he gets a special connection with them.
No, I hate those paintings.
Right.
So keep your bad paintings around on your wall to mock you, as inspiration for other good paintings is part of Shasha's
well,
advice?
Everybody has those types of stories. And it's just fun to listen to the way different people go through them.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do...
Hey, what you got?
Just a couple more rapid-fire questions, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
We have to have a rapid... Jess,
well, I'm going to use my one from yesterday.
You got to have at least like 2 ready.
I'm a quick thinker.
You can do yours first.
Sunrise or sunset?
Oh, sunset. Absolutely. I don't even know what a sunrise looks like. I'm not an early man.
That's just because he's like a singer and an actor. He's a night guy.
I light up at night. I'll get a glass of wine and 3 good friends, and I'm good for no, I don't need anything else.
What is the best sandwich?
A sub. It's a full Italian sub with all the fixins. You got to have everything, including hots. You know.
All righty.
Yeah.
Jess, yours?
What's the favorite character you've played on stage?
Willy Wonka.
That's
Come
a tough role.
with me and you'll be. Yeah, I love that role.
Tim directed Willy Wonka for us 2 years ago.
You did?
I've done about 90 pieces. I'll talk to you about it after. It's about 90. Been involved in 90.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around.
Gene Wilder works on you.
Anything you want to do it.
You're well cast. And you're probably a good actor, too. So 30 years, that's a long time.
I just have fun. I never had to grow up, and I don't want to.
Right, I got you. Aisle or window?
Oh, always the aisle.
Ooh.
I thought you would have to look out at
You look out one airplane window, you've seen them all.
Apparently he's not inspired by the clouds or the landscape.
I'm inspired by being able to make it to the men's room when I need to. I do not need another window seat.
What's one piece of advice you would give to a new artist participating in Plein Air Easton?
Have fun, and because it's Plein Air Easton, and you are at the very top of the art circuit, learn from your co-painters. Study what they're doing and learn from them. Be open-minded to them. Don't only do you. Pay attention to what they're doing too. And that's very hard advice, but nobody gets into Plein Air Easton needing advice from me.
I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. So 20 years. We've been doing this for 20 years.
Yes.
And when we first started, there were very few of these. Now there seem to be almost every state has a plein air thing. Can you talk about the growth of the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I've been part of the plein air movement for not since it started, but maybe since around 2010 or 2011 or so, and I've seen growth in the plein air movement. It's very interesting, though. I think that some communities have petered out because they don't have an entire town like Washington, D.C. next to them, like you guys do.
We have Baltimore and
Philadelphia,
you have
New
York City too. You
have an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, we got.
But there are some that have kind of all the people that want to buy that kind of painting have bought those kind of paintings. And I think, and I'll speak to this for a second, because I've been to so many elementary schools around the country, hundreds. I can tell you that art has been dying on the vine. We have not been feeding the beast. And if you don't give art education to elementary schools, and I do mean public schools, you are going to lose the whole thing. We're going to lose everything if we don't do that, because young people, I mean, I'm going to say something that is obvious. This is not, you don't see a lot of people of color coming up in the plein air painting world, and that's because we haven't had a lot of education in the public schools for art, and we got to do something about that, because otherwise this is, it's just not going to last forever.
Yeah, and the thing is if you don't.
Wes Moore said yesterday he's cutting arts funding across the board in his budget. So,
right. No, that's all they do is cut. Look at Florida.
Yep.
Those kids are not going to get anything now. Nothing at all. And think about this. I mean, just 2 cents about this. People say they want to be artists. Hey, look, that doesn't mean fine art all the time. Who designs the radio? Who designs the chairs?
Sure, exactly.
Who designs the houses? You've got architects. You've got designers. Who designs the yachts?
Right. Yeah, no.
Does art? You need artists for everything in life. You know, who goes to what restaurants do the rich people want to go to? The ones where where somebody went to culinary art school and knows how to cook a steak. It's not like art is all about watercolor painting. It's about everything else we do.
Right.
And, you know, everything else in life that's why, to your other question, an artist needs to speak to this. We are not just painters. We are consumers of an art life. The more free your society is, the more art you're going to engage in. And I don't just mean painting. I mean the chairs you sit in and the cars you drive. It's all art.
Yep.
And we need it all.
Yeah.
It's all art, and we need it all.
Spoken like a true Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. We're live here at Plein Air Easton. It's our 20th year. We hope you come down. I hope that when you pass by Mark Shasha's paintings, you stop and look at them.
Yes.
Otherwise, it hurts his heart. He said that earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, don't let me be there when you walk past.
And there's some people examining them right now. So we've got a couple. He's got a couple of pieces of artwork here in the armory, where there will be hundreds of other paintings for sale. So if you live anywhere close by and you're watching this live, come on down. There's going to be lots of great paintings, and it's going to be a really exciting weekend. And he's going to have one on display at the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy too, at our new exhibition hall there over the course of the weekend. So
Mark, thanks a lot for speaking with us today, taking the time. Thanks for doing the Eastern Land.
My pleasure.
It's wonderful to have you back. And
they can probably find your book on Amazon, right?
You can find my book on Amazon. My videos with are also on Amazon. And my books are there. Everything's there.
Awesome.
It's a great talk, Mark. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. I bet Dina wants to come count us out, maybe. Maybe she doesn't.
This has been the Plein Air Easton Podcast from
Absolutely.
Plein Air Easton headquarters.
PleinAirEaston.com.
Live.
Dina, Nick, anybody.